First map in the series heading on over to Split. And this was a series that we teed up as probably the closest of all of our quarterfinal matches. And that is not the outcome of the very first one. Only victory for Blue Otter, it wasn't a 13-1, which kind of looked likely at one point. In the end, they get the 6 rounds, but geez, like Shopify Rebellion Black just kind of ran them for a bit there, Ash.
Yeah, you're going to throw that one to me for sure after I predicted Blue Water.
That's all you, Ash. Best of luck.
I'll talk to Trad after, but I just like, geez, like Shopify Rebellion Black, they came out of the gate swinging.
Yeah, they absolutely did. I mean, an 11-1 start was insane. I think that when you look towards the defense that Shopify Rebellion had, I think they had really great trap plays. Monty was locking things down on site, but a lot of it also came down to, Blue Water's approach to the attacking side. It felt like we saw a bit of a rinse and repeat of this A hit. There was a lack of global map presence too, which over time, SRB, I think, got a really good read on that, and they played dynamically. They go for a bit of that mid control, a bit of that B main control, and made it really easy to call those reads and stacks.
And I think the big thing for SRB's success as well is how often they were changing up the pressure that they were like applying to Blue Water, right? Like some rounds they were challenging a lot of space, some rounds they were kind of just playing in their trap setups. But most importantly, I think the thing that for me that looks very much in control for SRB is how comfortable they looked in retakes. Like they're completely fine just giving up the space when they needed to. They knew exactly where to allocate their utility. They're very confident in their retakes, and they're totally down for these like late round, low man player situations. And I think that's where SRB kind of claimed their win on the first half.
I think, too, a lasting impression from this is Blue Otter is a team that I really like, actually. I know, like, I'm messing with Ash over here, but I really like this team. And I think a big part of that compliments was the fragging capabilities, because the shots have always looked really clean. And it was something, too, with the pressure that Shopify Rebellion Black was exerting. Blue Water kind of fell short in that department a little bit from the get-go. So if they can bounce back, then we still have that possibility of a close series. But Roy, when I just think at the beginning of the match, like that's where the ball was kind of dropped a little.
Yeah, I mean, 11-1 does not leave you with much room to work with for sure. But why was it 11-1 is really the big thing, right? And when you look at things like the first kills, first deaths, you're looking at 14 for Shopify Rebellion Black and 5 for Blue Otter, right? We talked a lot about the duelists head-to-head. Ash was hyping up Zeldris, saying don't sleep on Zeldris. He was having a bit of a rough game. It really did feel like the things that we highlighted going into this match that we thought were very important, contention points for Blue Otter. They weren't able to actually claim any of those things.
Especially going up against the Shopify Rebellion Black. I mean, you're talking about Zeldris maybe not having the impact that he would have wanted and that Blue Water would have needed him to have. But we did that head-to-head with him in Paint at the beginning. And Paint, especially for that first half of things, Ash, was doing a fantastic job. Yeah, there was multiple multi-kill rounds coming out from this guy.
Yeah, I think that Paint was looking electric when they started out in that first half, like you were talking about. The multi-kills were absolutely massive, and it just worked so well because he had, Monty setting him up. You also had BCJ helping him clear out a lot of that space so he could get those more aggressive entries in and whatnot, and unfortunately for Zeldris just falling short there. But wrapping back that conversation over towards Monty, it felt like we saw him anchoring down, bunkering in on a lot of those sites, especially towards A with his util in hand as well, just being able to play for a few more of those trap setups. And even though Blue Water had a bit of a rougher go of things, especially in that initial half, Zeke was the kind of the shining light, that even gave them this chance to try and make some sort of comeback happen in that second half. And it was Zeke still managing to, put out numbers while being on this supportive role, and I feel like it says a lot for both of these initiators on either side.
Yeah, this isn't meant to be like, look at Monty doing this over Zeke. Like, Zeke was the person that kept them in this, and even if Blue Water at the end wasn't able to chain the rounds together on ultimately falling short of being able to go for that comeback, Zeke is the only reason they really had that in the first place. But when we look at who was able to kind of stop that, I mean, Roy Monty coming into the squad, these ideas that he's bringing, this fire, like it would be wrong to not highlight that performance he was having throughout this too.
Absolutely. I mean, I think how often do you see an IGL drop 4.1 KDA so casually? Like, I think we almost have to highlight it. He's top fragging. He's IGLing. It looked phenomenal. The defense calling was top notch. I think overall he deserves the flowers he's getting. But for me, the big concern point is that was supposed to be Blue Otter's map pick. Are we going into a case of map pick switcheroonie where Blue Otter is going to sweep them out from Fracture, or is it just a swift 2-0? I'm not really sure at this point.
I'm a little worried considering where we're going for the second map of the series, because it is Fracture. And when I'm looking at the recent history here that we have in Challengers for Blue Otter, it's only been the once, and it was up against a YFP that, well, I mean, YFP had a very, very strong victory. And for Shopify Rebellion Black, they've had a really, really recent strong win up against M80. So if you're looking at the pure data, Ash, this is where I get a little worried for Blue Otter. It has been almost a month since their loss. It's very different times. So it's how much progress has happened behind the scenes on this map here.
Yeah, and I think, again, it comes back to that conversation of the win conditions for Blue Water, right? The fact that a lot of what Roy was talking about just not too long ago, the fact that, you know, Zeldra's such a big win con is him popping off, not just numbers-wise, but being able to open up these rounds in those initial engagements. And that's something that he was falling flat on over on Split, and it's going to have to be a really big shift in identity for the team, I think, to go back to their roots and being able to help him open up these opportunities for Blue Otter. And I think that that's where you really got to draw your eyes. And we talk a little bit about Monsi and Zeke as well. They're expecting them to both be reprising their roles on the breach, heading over to Fracture as well. They've been playing consistently. I'd love to see them keeping up with that, but now it's about having that synergy for Blue Otter coming back together to actually be able to have Zeldris pop off in the way that we usually expect him to.
It's a Blue Otter that is more than capable, but can they stack up going against the Shopify Rebellion Black that has only been scaling? That's the biggest question. My follow-up question, Agent Select, is there a change from Blue Otter considering that loss to YFP? Since there is the opportunity to kind of reflect, is it a play issue? Is it a comp issue? So heading into this, switches, I mean, on outs.
This is completely normal. This is what we've been seeing from both of these teams. We're seeing Paint on the Neon. They've looked phenomenal running it on this map. They've actually looked quite drilled, and I think they have a very established idea of how they want to deal with the Vice too. Getting Neon to just run down the lane, try to bait the Vice util. I think overall what they brought in last time versus M80 was impeccable. It was very drilled, and they looked clean doing it, and I'm slightly worried here.
Yeah, I think that this is really scary, especially considering, you know, the fact that there are no changes coming in. So there's no real fresh look compositionally for the side of Blue Water. But maybe that means that they've also, you know, worked on fundamentals when it comes down to what they were lacking up against YFP and getting a better understanding of this map.
I mean, with this composition, there's definitely the tools to be able to make this work. I mean, Zeldris on the Rays on our maps has been electric. We've praised Bob so much for this Tejo, and of course Zeke with that last match. So all the tools are here. It's whether they've learned from their last loss and can make this happen, take us to a map 3 against a Shopify Rebellion Black that's looking so clean. It's time to head to the second map of the series and back over to your casters now. Tenric and Shift, have fun.
Yeah, I think as soon as we saw the map selections come through, this did not look like a map based on the small sample size for Blue Otter that you're going to feel very confident in. I mean, they got absolutely smoked when they were playing up against YFP. So them coming back in with the same composition would lead you to believe that they've just kind of polished up and done their homework on what went wrong in that series to allow this map to come through in the first place. But for Shopify Rebellion, they have looked really good on this map. In particular, their offensive side has been dominant. So I think if you're Blue Otter, you got to come out and really set the tone here in this first half.
Yeah, this is a real decision maker of a half for Blue Otter. We need to see some semblance of progress made on this map with this composition. It really needs to all gel, and Shopify Rebellion's defense needs to be very early staved off. Make sure that Paint doesn't find any ground and doesn't feel the freedom to be able to run in like I think he's about to do. Yep.
First blood is clean, polished. Ooh, and we're gonna rotate through mid here. This is bold. The longer this takes, the more it's gonna be red. And Spaz is in a position at top tower that's gonna be very difficult to supplant him from, especially with Pancakes helping out through Arcade. So now you're gonna get a surround here if you're Shopify Rebellion. And Spaz doesn't even get looked at tower. Oh no. Talk about just not doing your diligence here if you're Blue Otter. Follow-up also looking decent. Spaz taking a little bit of damage, but it's just not going to matter. Convincing pistol win here for Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, that just felt like we were going through the motions at that point. Once we were trollopsing through mid, everyone from Shopify Rebellion was ready to go, and Blue Otter was already aware of the fact that they were going to have to like quadruple check all 15 of the angles that they were walking into. They didn't even bother to check one. Let's just get that spike down and hope for the best. The best is Shopify Rebellion Black handily winning that round and carrying a whole lot into this next one. Already a tremendous start to their defense. They can be as aggressive as they want on north side. They can be as aggressive as they want on south side. Doesn't really matter too much to them as long as they find the weak side first.
Okay. And I think the other part about this here for Blue Otter is, you know, I can appreciate the tempo that we're starting to see in that opening pistol. We kind of came across, you're talking about how you get Zeldris into his form. And to be fair, things were lighting up on the offensive side, but uh-oh, this is not what you want to see. Flash with relay bolt coming through paint, trying to get aggressive over towards Dish. Aftershock with another flash behind that. Although, trades are decent. A little bit of follow-up damage as well, but BCJ is going to step up and just reduce this play to nothing. Spike also down, and the last one left is Shondex, who's lurking, and going to lurk right into the waiting arms of Pancakes. Easy follow-up for Shopify. Pretty much a true bonus on the way.
Good to see Shopify Rebellion nip that in the bud. BCJ understand that the longer that this fight is extended, the more dangerous and more opportunities Blue Otter gets to get some BS headshot in there, so he'll just go in and finish that cleanup without too much else decay. So now it gets a little interesting. Now I ask, how aggressive is Shopify Rebellion Black going to choose to be? How confident is Paint right now? How is he feeling about running it down? Because with how much it is very clear that Muncie especially is willing to facilitate whatever extension he goes for right now. The sky's the limit until Blue Otter has some sign to consistently stop it.
Well, play over initially. Yeah, we're
That's
just catching them off guard with this aggression
disgusting.
now.
The stealth trying to get rid of the shear? That's so gross.
Yeah. It's just everything looks complete. And now you're going to get a Marshall shot as well. It's through smoke onto Zeldris. Pancakes, realizing his trap wire had been deleted, just pops the cyber cage to delay a little bit further. And the hope for this round feels like it's pretty much already out of the sails of Blue Otter, but maybe a chance to rewrap this back over to A. If they can find some sort of an angle, maybe an elimination of the BCJ, that'd be huge. But yeah, you can already see the calls coming through. Aftershock is seen on the wall, and the defense is rotating quickly through mid.
Everyone's here to go. This doesn't scream anything different from what we've seen so far, and that means Shopify Rebellion Black are on the precipice of taking that bonus round away. But with that one Brim smoke, they're at least able to get on site, get that spike down, and reposition to who knows where.
Well, here comes the fault line for Blue Otter, trying to get some control back over and through Halls. Not going to work out as Spaz finds Zeke. Bob up top. Could be a decent angle for this. So hard to lock down the Neon, though, just jumping in towards sight. And then just coming up the stairs and returning back in as Ostol just completely caught off guard. Bob just trying to survive with the weapon. Does better to catch another elimination, but the defuse is going to come through, and Shopify are going to win their bonus. Not the start you want to see for Blue Otter.
Really speeding up this game, and whenever Shopify find that moment of vulnerability for Blue Otter's, util defense, they're just able to completely puncture it. And of course, who else but Paint, who is going to be the one to initiate that? So the question is going to get at, I mean, what does Shopify Rebellion have in store for when Paint goes down, if he ever does? That's, that's the first problem we got to deal with, and then we'll figure out everything else. Because the rest of the team is shortly following it, and Pain is just not dying quickly enough for it to really matter.
Well, not dying at all at this point. Like you said, only 3 eliminations right now for Blue Otter. Just hard-pressed to come across much success on these breakoffs. Another quick tempo here towards the B site. But Halls is already gone. You've got some delay tactics in play here with the 2 defenders for Shopify. In particular, looking to see how they want to use the molly. Actually, they've already spent it. And wow, Pancakes is through smoke again.
What?
Able to connect that Shondex who drops. Going to make this post plant a little bit more flimsy. Paint shells up and over the top. Has Pancakes running for at least some sort of safety. Tagged up pretty heavily. But here comes the retake from Tree. And again, Paint is already up and in, ready to go. Hiding inside the smoke. Does not expect it to Zeke. Zostel still on top tower as well. Has to commit through this. And there's just nowhere to go. It's already halfway through. Fast lane is up. Zostel able to find one. Help now on the way. BCJ still holding in the corner. And yeah, with this thing being toggled the halfway, it just puts so much pressure on this defense. And there's just nothing that Blue Otter can do. 4 in a row for Shopify.
Such a complete clear every single time. And it's not like Blue Otter doesn't have all of this preventative stuff. I mean, that's what surprised me so much about this comp is how much preventative stuff there is. I looked at this going in and I'm like, I'm still amazed that Shandex continues to play the Vice into this when you already have the salvos and the Aftershock and the fault line and your paint shells to play keep away. To have a whole site's worth of stuff on top of that really hasn't, I mean, unfortunately, done all that much for the post plants. And it's just, unfortunately, like, just still somehow not enough.
Yeah, and I don't even know how many of these rounds Shandex has really even been alive still since the first play. I mean, first blooded in that last round.
Yeah.
Armageddon coming through the fault line. Wow.
Enemy
This has been a BTA start.
It's like an
If you
abyss
don't know what that
pistol.
means, ask an adult.
I mean, yeah, none of the puzzle pieces are coming together right now for Blue Otter. There is, there are so many different angles and problems that need approaching on such like singular levels that it's really tough to go into round 6 head on here. You have to prevent Paint from finding his way forward first. If he is not the first person in, then Shopify Rebellion Black immediately becomes so much weaker. But on top of that, this setup just it doesn't look complete. The team is there. The team is letting stuff fly when Shopify get on site, and yet they're just walking past. It just all feels so hollow. I'm not seeing it all come together on the site. I'm not seeing nearly the kind of presence that this meta is so boastful of more often than not. And then, yeah, every connection is just tenfold for SRB as opposed to Blue. It is a stark contrast.
Well, that was a pistol. I mean, it was a save round anyway. So again, it's a dramatic look and one that definitely feels punishing, but I think that doesn't really cripple your mental if you're looking at this from Blue Otter's perspective. This is the round that matters off the timeout. Close to a rolling thunder, orbital strike at the ready. Plenty of tools, plus of course the full rifles. This has to show us some signs of life though, because like we've talked about, you can see it in the timeline. 3 plants, no successful post-plant holds, and none of them have really even come close to being successful. So you could say what you want about the quick executions leading to plants, but they're not getting in the spots. And even to make matters worse, you talk about it. If Paint's the first one forward, now the map is gone. And that's indeed the case. Zeldra's the first one to drop.
Paint didn't even have to do that either. He was so by himself for that, and he still finds the 1-for-1. He's just so confident and able to beat Zeldris at this. Again, such a stark difference where we were just in a map where Zeldris is arguably the best player on his best character on his best map in Challengers. And now we're here where Paint's Neon on Fracture is probably up on that podium too, not gonna lie. And he is coming through in every respect. There's another one.
Yeah, and that's the other thing about this. This is another one of those moments you're looking at it. It's just, there's just so much disrespect coming through. Orbital Strikes go both called at the same time and makes a mess of this setup at Arcade. One falls from each team. Shandex, opportunity there, but it's missed. And now Zostal is just completely stuck. Yeah, Stim Beacon to get away, but 30 seconds in still what would have to be a 1v4. Desperate times still looming.
You haven't got much here if you're Shopify, so you're actually going to take this fight early on. At least until the fault line comes back, which now it has for Monsi, so you can reset for the
10 seconds left.
retake. They just wanted to see if they could get away with not getting that plant out of Zoe and just really disrespecting Pancakes is still going to try to. Oh, in fact, they're just going to carry on throughout the fight. Yeah, Zoe just accepting it. So that'll be the round. Yeah, it doesn't really matter how many stay standing for Shopify Rebellion Black. They have everything they could ever ask for. It is now 6-0. Where do we go from here, Shift? Genuinely.
We go into round 7. It's about all you could say. I mean, it is one of those things, like, again, like these executes have not been terrible for Blue Otter. It's just they're not able to keep up with how quickly the decision comes out for Shopify Rebellion to be able to combine utility with the Neon pushing up. To make matters worse, like in this round in particular, it is one of those, like, you get 2 kills out of Paint just by playing an opening angle by Dish and then pushing through that. Like,
Right.
it's tough because you kind of chalked around at that point, and it still almost becomes nearly winnable. But it's such a lost streak that the purchase is still decent. But yeah, now we're just getting to the point where that's just overconfidence. Paint could just heat check all these barrier breakoffs whenever he wants.
He's buying an outlaw for when you're swimming in, when you're Scrooge McDuck, creds-wise, and you're buying an outlaw.
Scrooge McDuck is crazy.
Down and out.
And another dry hold. This is just again every cylinder.
This is the first time I think you start to look at this and say Blue Otter are playing frustrated.
Oh, for sure. You're absolutely right.
Taken down.
That
What?
means determination, and that'll mean some extra ground. Just pouncing on it. ECJ up the back line, though, and so Blue Water, they got to continue surging forward.
Yeah, that's so tough. I mean, I understand you want to try to keep tree in your hands for this post plant, but once you give it up, I don't think you can really go back to it. There's just not enough information off the long play through A. Zeke, another window missed here, and now is caught inside Canteen. Zeldris, last one left. Has not had another strong start here to this map in, oh gosh. Oh gosh. Quickly 7-0. Very quickly 7-0.
There is no room for error when you're mentally boomed. It is a warehouse's worth. Blue Water, just such clear dissonance at this point. The inevitable feels like it's on the horizon, and we're still 6 rounds out from it. But when there's this much of a diff on every single level at the moment, and no sign of real change other than just getting a little bit angrier and a little bit more aggressive off of that, I mean, congratulations. Now you have one person with 6 kills, and the rest of you have 1 or less.
I mean, we're dealing with a combined 9 eliminations through 8 rounds.
Unbelievable.
Molly over the top, looking for a set play right here, and that works for the showstopper for first blood. BCJ trying to hang on to ropes. Significant damage dealt, though, by the paint shells, but the position could be more superior. Pancakes flashed out from the angle. Monzi dives on in. Oh, no. I mean, the moment of pause, the moment of hesitation, you get the first blood up top, you should be flooding forward, and they just wait too long. To be fair, the defensive smoke coverage was great from Spaz, but still, I mean, we got to be thinking, we've got a 5v3 at worst on site once you get that first blood. You got to be running through that.
Like lemmings at an airport, like checking their watch in the queue, like, oh, is it my time to die yet? No, I'm 3 gates over. I still got to stand here for like 5 more minutes while I wait for all this util to get thrown out. There is no level of urgency in a game where you are down 8-0, and if you lose, you are in sudden death mode. I'm not seeing no pile driving on top of that paint kill. It took you 5 seconds to get there. That's long enough for Monty to get there, and he gets 3. There's no consistent answer.
Yeah, I mean, it literally is. They just aggro through smoke. That's all it is. So now you're back on to pistols and a couple limited utilities, and yeah, oh, mercy me. Rolling Thunder into the Steel Garden. Doesn't really do much, doesn't get down in time. So Shopify find themselves now 4v2. Zeldris still in a position to maybe find contact with Monzi. These brim smokes are about to fade, but getting into sight is no easy feat, especially when your barrel pops out from behind the wall. Oh, boy, this is not what you want.
This is really, this is just so painful. We're just seeing a total collapse of a team that is so filled to the brim with potential and life normally. I mean, you want to talk a team with individual excitement. This is your candidate, but we are just seeing none of that from any of these players. And in the meanwhile, Shopify Rebellion, they have the blueprint every single round, just hopping right into wherever Blue Water are prepping for, and they've been given more than enough time each and every time. 9-0 now for Shopify Rebellion Black Shift. We are quickly making our way into pub stomp territory.
Yeah,
They're blind. We move.
we've been there, I think, for a couple of these rounds. It's just, again, like, this is the 4th versus the 5th seed. Both teams who have seen the extent of group stage really come through. Thought this would be a real tight one, but it's been anything but. 13-6 on the first. Now you're looking at a 9-0 start. Full weapons in play for Blue Otter at least here, but they spend a lot of their ultimates in the last round.
Doors activated.
And are now they've already lost A halls. Again, just the proactive gameplay from Shopify is taking away so much space in the map.
It seems like Blue Water are willing to hand that over at least until somebody tries to swing the shear, because they understand that Paint will be confident enough to do that every once in a while at this point. So they have to prep for it. Of course, Paint now holding an operator instead. He's holding the drop peak, which the stealth drone can't parse out.
No.
So Bob is going to walk up this alone, unless, you know, you find that the Spike is going to find more purchase up arcade.
This is starting to develop, though, nicely. Yeah, even more so that you get both defenders off the B site. So should be a win here for Blue Otter. 5v3 situation off the post plant. Paint.
Spike planted.
I think it's one of those situations they would need to find a pick first before they try to commit into the overdrive. But that is the only real possibility for them to swap off this operator. No reason to save. I mean, you've got offshore bank accounts right now if you're Shopify.
Yeah, we'll give it a whirl, I suppose, after this smoke finally clears away. It was hesitation from Blue Water that won. Let's see if it nets them the whole round, too.
Paint is just running into top tower with an operator. BCJ, though, drops.
Player standing.
Yeah, nothing from Monzi and Paint.
There you go.
Okay, nothing there. Flawless round for Blue Otter. Finally on the board through 10. And most importantly, you're able to build up a little bit of that bank account. And you also collect the operators. So it's going to pull that into the next round.
Yeah, very profitable round. Exactly what you were looking for from so much of Blue Water. Patience is definitely the key word. Just waiting a moment until Shopify gets a little excited and stepping out and finding those opening picks to take out what they know is that weaker site still. Now, can you do that every time? Can you hope that Shopify Rebellion Black are going to get as antsy every time? I don't know. Maybe there's only 2 rounds left in the half, so
Exactly,
you could probably get away with it.
Yeah. Well, this time, no aggression for Shopify. Paint has pulled out the operator again. Zoe on the offensive side is looking to see if there's going to be some sort of a punish for over-aggression through arcade. Smoke holding them back for now. Spy cam deleted. Zeldris also going to drop the boom bot, seeing if they can try to pull this defense over just a touch. Can't find the trap wire, though. That might be an issue.
Targets.
Once again, heading towards that arcade presence that Blue Water found the most strength in. And it's where their pushes have been consistently the strongest before Shopify actually comes in to invade. They have the right idea, especially if Paint's going to get that excited. And you find your opener. Now you enter.
Also land. Pancake while faulted gets 2.
Spike down. B.
Fake utility. Doesn't actually do anything. It just doesn't actually do anything. Zoe able to at least respond, turns this into a 3v3. Spike could go down here, but looking to contest this with the orbital strike is Shopify Rebellion. Fault line as a part of that play. 20 seconds now on the clock. Bob getting to work on the plant once again in the tight corner.
Spike.
Defensive smoke blocking off tree. But Bob on the close corner has to respond. Nice little dual play coming out, but no, both players will drop, leaving now Zoe by themselves. And it's an operator. And the longer this play starts to develop, the more you're going to be worried about someone hitting you on the backside of the tower, but now you're going to get the information coming through. But BCJ holds the angle, finds the win, and Shopify are going to be 10-1 up.
I wonder if Zoe picked up that op or if he decided to stick with it. That very quick double kill turned what was initially a perfect third-man hold into one of the worst 1v2s you could ask for upon a retake like that.
Last round
and that's
in
how
the
swiftly
half.
Shopify are able to change the course back again. Still, that's one of the better structures we've seen for a round. But after that 2K from Pancakes, you get slowed down enough to where it gets a little frisky. And once again, Blue Water forced to overextend just a little too heavily. Shopify collapsing.
Yeah, that's just...
That's gnarly.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. It's just nothing. These post plants are just, they're so bunkered up. Like they just don't, that's the issue I think that Blue Otter has had. Like we're getting onto site okay, but then we're stuck in tower or we're stuck playing on platform at A. It's just, they haven't been able to like hold positions to make the defense have to take the worst possible route.
Yeah.
And at this point, even a 10-2 is not going to feel particularly great. So especially considering, like we mentioned, Shopify Rebellion's offense has been really good. Armageddon coming through over towards B. Rolling Thunder also going to be spent here as Zeldris will find first blood. Trapwire into play. Relay bolt now followed up by the overdrive, but shut down by Zeke. Any trades? Yeah, BCJ is going to have a couple as Spaz also finds one from the top side of ropes, leaving it now just down to Zostal. Again, the trade game continues to turn up in favor of Shopify, but Zoe on the 1v2. Gets info onto one. Just more shoulders for Pancakes. Molly to flush him out. And now they should be able to double swing this neural theft coming through. And yep, that's indeed the case. No transfer there for Zostal. It's an 11-1 half. Yeah. No bueno.
Man, anywhere, anytime, any distance, there's going to be somebody on Shopify who has something to say. And that time, it was yet again BCJ first.
Switching
With Spaz
sides.
taking that high ground, and then a Blue Water again having no real answer outside of just the sight line. Shopify kind of just get to sit back and let the bullets fly.
Last player standing.
This has been at least a steady progression from where we initially saw Blue Water, but now the sides have swapped and we got to do this all over again.
Yeah.
Or Shondex is going to find a lot more with this Vice Util in a perfect world. At least they'll be able to stack themselves a little more in their favor, work around that a little bit more. But just like last map shift, there is zero room for error in a game where we've seen so many errors.
And it's tough because, like, this doesn't feel as much like Blue Otter's making mistakes. They just don't look like they can hang with Shopify on this map. Like, that's all
Yeah.
it is. Again, like, the executes are there. They're getting the spike down, but they just don't have enough to survive for a solid post plant, or they're not in a position to take away more ground. And that's the issue I think you run into when you've got something like Shondex on a Vice. Like, you're just not able to lock the space down in time. I don't know. There's a level of, I think, not being able to capitalize in the ground game, rather, like Shopify have already shown us on the defensive side. So that's going to make matters worse as they jump into their offense. Paint's already on site today.
It was against such
nice
an
shots.
early vine. Great shot, Shondex. So you've at least cut short one member and you can spray through and maybe hope you find a little more ship. Yeah, Monty's going to take a little bit. So Paint's going to try and go for the entry. Does get stunned. I don't know if that was him or a Tejo nade, but they can start fielding away, and Paint's extended over in the mid. So
Excuse me?
oh, what?
He must have
Zell.
thought he must have thought he cleared that, because you saw him kind of looking at least a little bit right and then immediately taking the focus over to the left. Must have thought he could see a shoulder or something. Not the case,
Yeah.
though. And now, as Zeke had to kind of hold his ground after that elimination had come through mid in the defensive spawn, he's got to rotate over to 1v3. First shots are clean with the Classic. You got Monzi on low health. But still, all this would take is some sort of a high-low stack, and that's exactly what you're going to get here with Paint just jumping to play for info. Fault line comes through, counteracted by one of Shopify's. Flash not going to affect anything, and are we going or not? No, guess not. 12-1 to count, and Force Buy on the way.
Yeah, unfortunately, I kind of wish Zeke would have
Match
pushed a little
point.
bit more on top of the util a little more immediately, but I mean, what can you ask of the man in that position at that point in the 1v2 when you've already had Shopify, again, just outstretch their arms and get exactly what they need to. Every single member of the team now above double digits kill-wise, and only one there for Blue Otter. I think we're about to be out of here, but Blue Otter, I mean, they've got a massive buy here. They've got the hold again. This 4-stack from B could be a little more aggressive, and there's a good shot to start.
Well, Zeke first
Spike
blood.
down, attacker spawn.
Paint in a little bit of trouble here, as BCJ will also be a key component to take out of the picture here for the Blue Otter defense. So now all of a sudden, you can get back over to A to make sure there's no follow-up that direction. There's not, but still, you're in a pretty decent spot to try to hold on to this, and yeah. Nice from Zeldris. Blastback also coming through. Can't quite follow up on the right click. And whoa, Monzi gets a second. How does also not confirm that trade? It's a heck of a snap from Monzi. But it looked like it was going to be a guaranteed at least 1-for-1 in favor of Blue Otter, but now under 3v3 post plant. Oh, no.
Chauncey was still rocking from that blast pack, and he still finds the pick off. Salvos have to get wasted on top of a blind, and it still can't pick off, but Bob extends and gets 2.
And they know where Pancakes is. Oh, tries to take away the first angle, but Bob will connect onto 3 straight headshots with the Sheriff. Blue Otter staying alive. Also, a couple of the weapons to grab here will make this next purchase a little bit more manageable.
You think I'd let this thing go off?
A good opening fight taken by Blue Otter, daring to challenge Shopify, who were also honestly daring to challenge Grass a little bit. What would be the prime fighting ground for this defense, and Zeke shows it with that early pickoff. Still, the work has to be done to clamber back, and Bob hitting her shots to get that extra distance. Again, lack of mistakes, just Shopify being better to make it that close. And so this is still such a uphill battle for Blue Otter, despite the fact that Shopify are on pistols here.
Yeah.
Paint quickly. Salvo in play. Whoa, breaks the timing. A little bit of damage up top as well. On top of that relay bullet is a part of it, but Zeke still is alive and well inside of the halls. We'll make sure that the follow-up is, well, there is no follow-up. Pancakes behind this play has already dropped in through A, though. Bob is low on health. Is there information here? A couple of shots. Looks like Bob made no, but oh, gets caught in the reload. Wait, Zeldris? Okay, thank you. I was about to say, you got to turn and confirm that trade. But again, overwhelming force still comes through by way of numbers. No more ammunition for Zeke. 2v2, but very low health pools, and just a Guardian has been collected to this point.
One enemy remaining.
There we go.
Bagged and tagged.
Shopify, once again, trying to make the round as messy as possible in order to find something out of it, and a lot of that does have to do with Paint, just finding that distance, but Zeke did a good job of cutting that short and making sure that no one else could pile on top of it, and then he even got a kill along the way out. So, again, great damage control done by Blue Otter this round against a Shopify that is not nearly as explosive as it is going to be allowed to be this round. Rolling Thunder in the pocket, too. I mean, still, again, sky's the limit for this Shopify team. 9 rounds of free roaming room.
Yeah,
Smoke's
long
down.
path in front of us, but
My ult's ready.
let's see. And I like this. Again, taking away the top side of the map, it gives you the ability to try to trust that Shondex can hang on to A with the razor wire placements. You can rotate Bob over to help out. And if you can catch any information at all,
Spike.
you should be feeling very confident in your ability to lock down the B site. But instead, there's going to be some noise created by Shopify towards A. And the Rolling Thunder is getting queued up. Are they going to try to push something out here?
Pre-plant? No, couldn't possibly be. They're just preparing for the potential collapse. They want to be right on top of it if it's here, but it's not. Instead, just those lurkers in the tunnel to make sure that no one from Blue Water is cleaning the corners, and they're not. But Spaz is headed all the way back up with this spike. It's a clear of the tunnels instead to get another crunch from Arcade going.
30 seconds left.
And Zoe stole the lone victim
Good
to
prediction.
it at first. So much on Zeldris to be able to try and hold this down, but he's going to get crept up on. Paint!
I was about to say, that's a great stall from Zostal, but now you've got Zeke throwing in the Rolling Thunder way too late, counteracted by one from the offense, but Shondex through mid, able to find one. Spaz on for the plant. Spam shots aren't quite there at all. Make matters worse. Zeke has dropped. Bob now committed onto the platform. Only able to find one. And it's just down to Shondex. Caught from behind. 13-3.
Never.
Absolute smoke show here. Map number 2 from Shopify Rebellion. Really never sweating at any point in the match.
Blue Water was a team that was so much less than the sum of their parts today, and it's so unfortunate to see a team with so much potential, so much prowess, so many clips, and so much of a good record at this point fall so short in a crucial match like this. They have another chance, but Shopify Rebellion Black, the work is clearly paying off, and they're heading to winners round 2.
Clean stuff in a matchup that was featuring the 4 versus the 5 seed. Who knows? Henrik, I'll tell you this much. If you have checked your calendar, the month is March. That means it's March Madness time, my friend. We've had upsets. We've had 4v5 seeds not come close at all. And wow, this is going to really open up this entire bracket as we move forward into round 2 and lower round 1 for that matter on top of it. Because I'm not even going to lie to you. I can't even begin to make a prediction. You got TSM versus Core. Envy's going to take on Blue Otter here in the lower round games. Winthrop versus Cubert. Cubert looks sloppy. I wouldn't be surprised to see another upset there. Like, we could be looking at a Winthrop upper final matchup based on how they played today. I'm not ruling them out.
I mean, it's impossible to really rule anybody out at a stage like this where, like you said, these teams who had so much time to prepare are coming in looking sloppy. These other teams that are potentially lower or higher seeds are looking so well practiced and manageable and like absolute machines. It's going to come down, truly, as always, to who wants it the most. And I love that about this playoff tournament.
2 days to kick off our Stage 1 playoffs. We're going to take a small break, have the desk jump back in for our final thoughts on the day. Continuing on with more Challengers playoffs, though, throughout the week. Don't go far. We'll be right back.
You know what? I really appreciate that expert analysis coming out from Shift to explain literally everything that has happened in the playoffs so far. This March Madness, this was said to be the closest series that we had.
Okay.
And Roy, it was frankly anything but, with yet again another very strong victory from Shopify Rebellion Black.
Guys, honestly, I think I've seen enough. I think SRB is in the best form for playoffs. That is my expert opinion. I like the way they looked in that match. I like their style. I like how well constructed and how well oiled the machine was. And it really did feel like they're finally tailoring to everyone's strength.
This was just crazy. I'm still sitting here trying to digest this all with what we've seen, because Blue Otter is a team we've given a lot of props to, and rightfully so, right? So for Ash, like Shopify Rebellion Black to win in just such a strong fashion, the only team to 2-0 in our quarterfinal matches, like wow. Incredible.
Yeah, I think it's crazy, right? You know, everyone is talking about how this being the 4th and 5th seed, how this should be one of the closest matches we could expect to start playoffs with, and it isn't the case whatsoever. You know, a swift success for the likes of Shopify Rebellion Black, and they are looking in great form, like Roy was talking about. Do you want to give I guess some credit over to Blue Otter with the fact that, you know, this isn't the form that we've seen them in previously. They looked honestly quite disconnected from each other today. I think that big win condition in Zeldris just really fell flat for Blue Otter, and you've got to really give credit over towards Shopify Rebellion. I think the calling from Monty has been impeccable with how they've been playing the ebb and flow here, which on a map like Fracture is so important.
100%. And even even when Shopify Rebellion Black were down in players, I mean, only 9 first kills to Blue Otter 7, which is still more than 7. But when Blue Otter only got the 3 rounds, I kind of expected that to just be a total other direction. They're still able to just rally back in such strong form. So looking at the stats across the board here, Roy on top. I mean, everyone from Shopify Rebellion Black was able to step up, but we'll make sure to give a special call out to MVP Spaz.
Yeah, I mean, I think Spaz played phenomenally that map, but there's just so many more layers that it's really hard to give one person the specific keys to the win condition for SRB, right? Like Ash was saying, the calling was just phenomenal by Monty. It really did feel like every single round they had an idea of what Blue Otter was up to, and it felt like there's just no room. They're getting absolutely suffocated when SRB was on their defense, and when Blue Otter was on their attack, they're getting absolutely suffocated on almost every lane. And even when SRB did guess wrong, they still had phenomenal sentinel setups to punish on the other side of the map, where they were constantly getting their kills. They had perfect utility to set up the retakes to allow Neon to path onto site. There's just so many layers, and there's so many. I mean, I think the caster just said it the best is just they got outclassed on so many levels.
Yeah, and I want to talk about Paint and the impact here too, because maybe Paint wasn't top of the leaderboards or close to, like in the last map, but we look at such a big map like Fracture and the impact he was able to make with just the space alone he was taking.
Yes.
Even like that last round, Ash, like just sneaking on through. Okay, I'm gonna kill Zeldris with util out, and it just collapses for Blue Otter for there.
Yeah, I mean, just like even having it in him to even be able to like make a contact play up all the way over towards Generator like that, I think is crazy. I think something with the Neon pick on Fracture as well, which allows for such quick repositions and rotations from Paint, were great as far as really being able to throw off Blue Otter from a lot of timings and what they would maybe expect when they were trying to read into how SRB were playing. And SRB just having an answer to every single question that Blue Otter was asking, and finding every single opening, I felt like, as well. All of the weaknesses on their defense, whether it was on Split or Fracture.
And I feel like even just on top of that as well, whenever it did come down to the late rounds, even the 3v3s, those situations were played flawlessly as well. So, I mean, where is the weakness in what they just showed against Blue Otter? It's really hard to find. But that being said, I do think a benefit that, SRB has moving forward from winning so swiftly in this first round of playoffs is the fact that a lot of their strategy remains a mystery, and they don't really leak that much of their strategy, unlike other teams that have gone 3 maps, that have gone the distance on those 3 maps as well. I feel like a lot of the strategy pool and a lot of how SRB wants to approach these maps remains hidden, and that's a massive buff going forward.
Yeah, when we're looking at a playoff brackets with a lot of these really, really strong teams, that there's a lot of tape on for Shopify Rebellion Black to be going through these changes, to be able to keep a lot of that hidden, I think is absolutely great. So congratulations to them on that win. And it's time, I think, to head over to our interview to be able to hear a little bit of words from the team themselves, and none other than Paint. We're talking so much about you, Paint. Such great performances coming out. Fantastically strong win. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, honestly. It's pretty great to win, obviously. We've been working hard to get to this point to where, our wins are looking more and more like fundamentally sound, to where the gap is even farther. So it's pretty good.
I mean, you're talking about making sure you're further and further ahead, and I think this was an absolute masterclass of that. Before we talk specifically about Shopify Rebellion Black, I want to talk about you going up against Blue Otter because this is a team that you actually do play with quite frequently. So then, what are you thinking even then going into that?
Honestly, like all the guys in Blue Otter, they're all my homies. We always hang out. We always like play random games and shit. So, oh, sorry, can I swear? Is that fine?
You get one pass.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, all right, that's it. I'm done. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, but they're my guys. And like honestly, I didn't really ever like playing the game. I didn't really like think like, oh, I'm going against my friends. I just like kind of like wanted to play my game. Have fun. Like not even think that they're my opponent. Just really try hard to play fundamentally sound on my team.
A lot of sense. And I want to then talk about that fundamentally sound and what this means going on for the team. Because in our quarterfinals, every single match of all of these teams went to 3 maps. And we're actually really close series, except for this one. This was the most dominant series by any team so far. What do you think that speaks to Shopify Rebellion Black looking ahead in this playoffs bracket?
I would say, honestly, I think today we played probably like the most fundamentally like the best, like that's honestly just what all it is. Like it all comes down to like trades, crossfires, all that, just like making sure we're communicating well with each other. And I feel like we did really well today with that. And that's honestly why the gap was so much bigger. And I feel like a lot of these teams, once they start getting more and more comfortable in the playoffs, will definitely perform probably the same length to us just against harder matchups.
That makes a lot of sense. And then you're talking about the vocal on the team and everything else. Monty was saying that you're actually very, very vocal. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen and all this. And I want to know, too, the impact that you're able to have, but then also having all of these other really powerful voices on the team.
I would say for me, at least, I always, like, as much as I possibly can, I try to communicate what I want to do in the rounds or what I want to like go for overall, like both halves. It doesn't matter. And like I always relay information. Every time I see something, I'm like, yo, we can probably abuse this gap. We can find this, do this. And against like BCJ, he's very vocal. He's our co. And Monty's our IGL. Honestly, everyone has their own role. Like my job is to relay information and be a turret. Because like I'm the duelist. I have to make sure that I'm able to frag out.
It works so well. It's actually so fun to watch you play. You're such an explosive player. We've definitely enjoyed that. So I'm looking forward to the next series. You're up against M80. Yeah, there was the victory here. Getting to playoffs. How are you feeling about the rematch?
Honestly, bro, it's just like I just want to keep having like a good time, like through it all. I just want to keep enjoying my time playing this game. I'm really grateful for everything like I've been given to be like playing this game professionally now, being on a salary team. So I'm just going to try my best to play the best I can and hopefully keep making the run. So, yeah.
I mean, the run is looking great so far. We'll be cheering for you. Paint, great stuff. Congrats on the win. Looking forward to the next one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so wholesome at the end. Oh my goodness. I mean, looking at Bud improve on this, grateful for everything. And I think that's really gotten to show here too, Roy. I mean, sometimes these teams, they put a lot of pressure, especially when we are looking at this, like one of the bigger orgs. And we're looking at, of course, light at the end of the tunnel. We're looking at Ascension, but to see the smiles and everything else, it's really nice.
I think there's a special feeling whenever like your hard work has been sort of uncertain whether you're getting results or not, and then it finally clicks in, and there's this like almost this like wave of relief, like, oh, okay, I've gotten confirmation, I've gotten a little bit more conviction with the direction of the team, with the direction of like how we're approaching things, how we're thinking about things. I think that is probably what he's feeling right now. But I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. This is only the first round of playoffs. Like you can be as confident as you want right here, but ultimately it's about who's going to be coming up the most throughout the entire playoffs and all the way to the end.
Yeah, it's still a long road ahead, like you were talking about there. But I feel like it is also such a green flag to hear just how humble he is about everything as well, and just the general vibe check too. I think it says a lot about the energy for this team and the mentality that they carry forward going into their matches and after their matches as well. It says a lot about their character, and this is a team that I want to see keep winning.
I like how we get both on the team. We have, we got some trash talkers on the team. We also got Paige, who's just I'm just so happy to be here. I love it. There's a lot of depth here, but team now 2-0. That's going to be a great victory to moving along the bracket with. And that's going to be such a fun rematch going up against M80. I'm really, really looking forward to it. But yeah, going into this, I talked to Paint about it. But again, Shopify Rebellion Black, the only team to 2-0. So Definitely think if we're talking about favorites, everything else going for the rest of it, like Roy, I don't know. They're my clear favorite at this point.
It actually is crazy how this is the only 2-0 that we've seen. Like we had an idea that it was going to be close, but sometimes 2-0s are close, right? But it's still a 2-0. This is the first one, and it was a clean 2-0. So that is a massive statement. Now we get to see M80 and SRB in the next round. Both of teams seem to seemingly peaking at the same time. I think that match is probably going to be one of the best ones we're going to have in playoffs so far.
It's going to be such a great time. And Ash, I know you tried the hashtag method to try and be right with the predictions there, but you got another opportunity tomorrow. That's all I'm saying.
Ruthless.
Yeah. Hey, girl. You can take all the credit you want. You can take all the credit you want if you want. But I think that, I did think that it was going to be a really close matchup between these two squads. And again, it came down to those fundamentals. I think that Blue Water just looked on a different kind of level compared to Shopify Rebellion and Black, considering where they were lacking and whatnot, but there's still an opportunity to make some improvements. And I think for SRB, like you were talking about, Roy, it's going to be an intense matchup tomorrow. This, again, I feel like we're not even sealing the ceiling for this team yet, and it's not even close at this point, and it's going to be a dangerous force to be reckoned with.
A playoffs bracket that's really shown that you can never know what is about to happen. So do not miss a single moment. We'll be back tomorrow for even more Valorant. Thank you all so much from all of us for tuning in. Have a great night. Good luck with your ranked games. We'll see you then.
That's now a scope picked up. Can Infiltrator use that? Armageddon, though, off. Flares caught completely. Suppressed, stunned up, nowhere to go. Oh, nice snap from Gamon. Still playing inside the site. We'll line up 2 more. And it's all down to Infiltrator. No scope connects for the first, but nothing beyond that. TSN.
Let's go in and fight this. And yet, you're able to find from the crevices, Recoil going absolutely berserk.
Moves does have a winnable situation in front of him. Recon Dart will flush out the site. Has the Steel Garden to play with, also a Razor Vine. He's going to catch one for free. I mean, we're just running on in there. Very odd. There's the Steel Garden. Also going to throw a Razor Vine down. Moves now looking to get aggressive. Bora trying to hold the angle. Both players avoiding one another for now, but Moves will lock in the
clamming for as it is.
Oh, now you get the rolling Thunder in. Nice teleport away, though, actually, as Bonzi only finding one. Maybe a chance to reclaim some spots as Bob has found a weapon, but inside the site, BCJ just takes over. That's 4 in the round. Armageddon all aggro through smoke. That's all it is. So now you're back on to pistols and a couple limited utilities, and yeah, oh, mercy me. Rolling Thunder into the Steel Garden.
Like, just still somehow not enough.
Yeah, and I don't even know how many of these rounds Shonix has really even been alive still since this point. First blooded in that last round.
Yeah.
Armageddon coming through the fault line. Wow. This has been a BTA start.
Like an
I don't know what that means. Asking it all. That's now a scope.